We're happy to be here to give this feedback for the CEO Sanctuary because it really was an experience that I needed exactly at that time. So I think what was missing from these types of convenings or circles or what have you, whatever you want to call it, was the intimacy of it. So I feel that most groups, when you join groups like this, they're so big that you don't feel really comfortable sharing. Sure, there's lots of information that you can learn. There's lots of great sharings and different types of expertise and things that you gain from being a part of the circle. But I have to say, whenever I've been a part of these circles, I've never felt so comfortable opening up and sharing the things that really are challenging that I would want to share with like-minded peers or colleagues. Yeah. I think they were all quite interesting, but I think I kind of remember specifically with one of the other. We were, as the founding group, we were quite small, and so we immediately opened up, and with Adiolou's great facilitation, I feel like everyone was eager to jump in and to share and to get feedback and to contribute. So one of the things I remember, I can't remember, it was Bode, someone, it was a conversation about working with staff and, the best way to engage. And somehow we got into different generations and how, younger team members respond. And it was just so timely for me. As a lot of my team members are younger than me. And, sometimes even with the work ethic, you're expecting everything, and you're not even, it's not a conscious thing. It's just you expect things to be given to you the way that you would expect it to be done. So I think one of the sessions we kind of just went in on that, and it was just perfectly timed because just have a lot of team members that were experiencing different things. And, while we had deadlines and needed to move quickly, it just reminded me of a leadership skill that, you have to always be mindful, which is deep listening and empathy and, the importance of giving space and given the space so that you can give room so that you can get what you need so that the organization could thrive. So that's one of the things that stood out that I really appreciated. I would say it gave me a different outlook because I was, well, one, it encouraged me to be intentional and to slow down and to think about what's needed right now here in the space that I work in, and then what I could contribute. So it made me think about my own skills and strengths and, aligning that with the now, so that it actually, it caused me to really think about this phase of my life and, whether I'm, happy or not with the work that I'm doing and, just the importance of being in the moment. So I would say that that's one of the things that it reminded me of, the importance of compartmentalizing the different things that come into your life, whether it be through work, professionally, or personally. Sometimes it's just the need to kind of put in different categories so that you can move forward. So we all seem to be, my other peers in the cohort, we were kind of all in that space. So it was really refreshing just learning that they were there too, and then just getting their insight of how they're dealing with it. It's funny because, as a CEO, you kind of think all the things that you need in your life, and you got it all laid out. You've been at this for a while, so nothing is really new. But I would say oftentimes you don't know what you don't know. So if you haven't been in this type of kind of guided circle, see this kind of sanctuary, then you might say that it would be not a waste of time, but not the best use of your time because you're so busy. So I would say encourage people to really consider carving out time for yourself, because if you invest in yourself, then you have so much more to give. So I found that by taking that beat, I remember the first session that we had, the first gathering, I was like, oh my gosh, because it was actually, I think it was like 4:30, right? So it was kind of later in the afternoon after a long day of work, starting here in Nigeria and then in the US. I often am working in two countries in many countries, but a lot of different time zones. So I have to be the one to kind of cut off at a certain time in the evening because it just keeps going, because the US people are just like waking up and getting going when I'm like ready to do dinner and all that here in Nigeria. So I remember it being a long day, the very first one, and I was like, oh gosh, Adeolu, what did I commit to? But then after sitting down and like doing that deep breath, and you could see the other like cohort members, we all did a collective like sigh together, because it was like, oh, nothing is expected of us here. We can just kind of share, and or not, we can just listen. We're going to be given like tips, all things for my own growth and my own personal development and professional development. So I think that was one of the times where I was like, okay, I get it now. I get why this is important. And not everybody, like I said, will see it at first, but it's an investment worthwhile, I think. We all showed up. We all showed up because of Adeolu and her global insights. We all follow her online, and her, her music, all the different things she contributes to the discussion and conversation around Africa and us, having what we need to thrive. So I think having that perspective and knowing that she is well versed in so many different topics is what kind of initially started the conversations going. And each time she had prompts that were really like, it reminds me of the AI prompt engineering that we have to do now. It's all about how you design and create the questions that determine the quality of the output, right? So if you have a person that's curating and facilitating that is well versed and well traveled and can kind of delve into different sectors, that just makes the conversation so much more rich and beneficial to everybody that was at the table. So I think she played. But then I would have to say, after Adeolu, then we learned who our colleagues were. So, we first gathered because she probably thought of, who would be the best people to be a part of this initial circle or this initial cohort for CEO Sanctuary. So we were relying on her wisdom of who we are and how we may, because she had to really think about like, who would work well together for this first group. And, so she clearly did a good job with that because we immediately felt comfortable. But then it was, she prompted us with questions, but then it was, we were all relying on each other to want to share. And, we established a WhatsApp group in which we were sharing different moments that no one else would know about us. And, how are we doing this for like people that I only knew for like a couple of months, but we were all sharing like things, so it just goes a lot to, Angelou and, her trust and the trust that we had in her. And then what the trust that we built in each other, because we all were looking for community. And I think that that's what we found. The CEO Sanctuary was a much needed escape and safe place for like-minded individuals who were working on effectuating change for Africa. So CEO Sanctuary provided all of us with a place where we might be coming from different sectors, but we had the common theme, I would say, that threaded us all together was our love for Africa and our desire to want to make it better and to be a part of a community in doing so.